friends, Irene here with Artemis Made on the Trinity Stamps YouTube channel today, and we are going to learn how to do some very simple mirror stamping. And we're going to use these adorable new release products from Trinity. This is the Terrific Dino set, and we're going to use that sweet little Triceratops. And then we're also going to use the Simply Sentimental Friend set. Also a new release. The whole Simply Sentimental line is amazing, but this particular release included the friend line. So we've got friend, friends, all these different phrases that are friendly. So there's lots to use here and to enjoy. I'm also going to use the A2 Foundation Circle Mask. I have to apologize. I did not realize at the time of filming that this mask was out of stock, but I will show you a very simple way to do it even without the mask. No problem at all. Okay, so we're going to get started here with our ink blending. Now you see I've got that circle down in the center. I used a little bit of the Tombow removable adhesive, and I have that stuck down to my paper and it is not going anywhere. Now I'm using the adorable blending brushes from Trinity. I say they're adorable because I think they're so cute that they have their colors. I love them and they blend like butter. So we are going to start by putting the majority of our color onto the mask itself, and then we're just in a circular pattern rounding out the color from the center out. So we're basically making a halo of sorts. Now as I'm looking at it, I see that top little area looked a little anemic, so I'm going to add a little bit more ink to round it out even better. That just made me feel better when I saw a nice little circle pattern. So I'm adding a little bit more yellow here. This is Buttercup from Concord 9th, and I'm just going to add all of that color on there, and I'm fading out into white around the edges. So it's going to be darkest in the center, fading out to give it a nice glow. Now I'm going to grab my Clementine, and that is the orange color. So I'm again starting in the center there, and I am working my way out around my circle. Now you want to be careful because if you press too hard, you might get a little bit of a harsh line. So as long as you are very gentle and you just kind of work your way around, you are going to have such a beautiful blend. It was my, user error for kind of tilting my brush a little too much, and I grabbed the edge of it. But the gorgeous thing here is you can just keep going, and ink blending is all about patience and layers. So I tried to be patient and I added more layers. And here we go. My ink blend is beautiful. Now you can see I'm about to pull the mask off here, and the removable adhesive popped right off. And then you can just rub your finger along it and get any of the residue off. And now I have that beautiful white interior and the equally beautiful glow going its way out from there. So it's darkest in the center and fading out to white all the way around. It almost looks, I guess, kind of like a sun or maybe a reverse sun. I'm not quite sure because it's white in the middle, but that's because that's going to be where I put my focal point. Now I'm going to stamp out our little Triceratops here, and I'm using the Cloud9 Solid Black Detail ink. It's my absolute favorite black ink. It gives a really nice, crisp, clear image. Now I'm showing you just quickly, I'm doing the first stamp, the way that the stamp is intended. So this little Triceratops, when stamped, faces to the right. So look at that image, super, super cute. Now I'm going to cut that out just so I can kind of set it to the side, and I'm going to use my white cardstock. And now this is where we have some fun. So first thing I'm going to do is make sure that my grip mat, which is just a standard photopolymer grip mat, I'm making sure that it's nice and clean. I clean it first with just some stamp cleaner, and then I'm coming in with a microfiber cloth. And the microfiber cloth is great because it doesn't have any little hairs or anything. It leaves it nice and dry and nice and smooth. So it's perfectly clean now. And this is where we take a leap of faith. So you notice I don't have any paper down. I literally inked up my dino and stamped it right onto my grip mat. That might seem a little funky. I understand that entirely, but that is going to be the trick of our mirror stamping. So the only thing that you really need is a grip mat, because a grip mat is essentially a photopolymer stamp, just on a large scale. It's made of the same material and it acts as a stamp. So once I inked it up a few times, stamped it down onto the grip mat a few times, now I'm going to come in with my cardstock and I'm just going to carefully place it in on the edge there and press down nicely. And I'm going to peel up And ta-da! Look at that. It looks just like we had stamped it onto paper, except it is the reverse image. So now I have one facing right and one facing left. Now, you might think it just would be too hard to clean, and it might look like it at first, but again, just a little bit of that stamp cleaner and maybe a tiny bit of elbow grease, just a hair, and then it comes right up. Now, if you use a color like red or something like that, it might stain it a little bit because, again, stamps do stain sometimes, so you might have a little bit of staining, but mine came right up, so we were good to go. Now, since I have my stamp out, or I'm sorry, since I have my MISTI out, it makes sense that I will go ahead and stamp my sentiment. So I grab the sentiment that says, I am here for you always, and then that really beautiful cursive friend. I love a cursive stamp that's also large because I just love sentiments in general. So I stamped those out and I'm going to set them aside, and now I'm going to get my coloring done. So I've got these two sweet little triceratops. I'm going to make the one that faces right is going to be a yellowy orange tone, and then the one that faces left is going to be a green tone. Now, part of what I'm doing here too is working on my craft roulette card for this week. So I am using fruit colors, and my colors here are supposed to look like melons and like kiwi and all that good stuff, that yummy fruit. So my triceratops here coloring is going to be very simple. I have really been enjoying the very simple coloring of taking one color and making my whole image that color, or a good section of my image, and then I take that same color but in a deeper tone and I outline it in kind of a shadow layer. So you can see I just went around the outside edges of my triceratops here and there with a darker tone, and that way it acts as a shadow. And later you'll see where I then go in and add white highlights on the opposite side. So I've got that deep shadow, and then it's very exaggerated. It's an exaggerated shadow. But I like this style because it is quick, honestly. I really love beautiful coloring where it's, got shadows and depths, and, it uses several different markers to get the tones out and everything. It's stunning. I just don't always have the time to do that. So if you're racing the clock like I usually am, this is a really great option because you can get some really fun coloring done. It can look pretty dynamic just because of the contrast between the light and the dark. And then, speaking of that contrast, I like to take a Prismacolor pencil in black, a colored pencil, and just kind of deepen some of those areas and kind of round out some corners. And that is how I get that little bit of a deeper shadow color in there. So now that we have finished our very simple coloring, we are going to die cut our little images. Now, I didn't show the die cutting really of this one because a lot of us pretty much know how to die cut. You just put your die on there and cut it out. The real trick here is die cutting our reverse image because, of course, our die is supposed to cut out the original stamped image. So here's my little trick. What I like to do is use an outline of the die. So I have the outline there, and then I hold it up to a light. Now, normally I would just hold it up to a lamp, but here I'm showing you how, with my flashlight on my phone, how you can actually see the image that you colored through the paper. And this is thick paper. It's 110-pound Nina Classic Crest Solar White paper. So it is nice and thick. But when you shine a light through it, you can actually line up your outline to be perfectly around your stamped and colored image. And then once you have that, hold it together, tape it down, and then you can just fit your die into that outline spot. And look at that. It's perfectly cut out. Beautiful white outline around it and everything. Now, I was so thrilled that that worked the way I hoped it would, and I hope that you will give that a try too, because it really is fun. Now, I've doubled these up, but I just wanted to show you here, remember when you're doubling up this one that you want to flip it and do the opposite side. So that can be easy to forget just because we're so used to doing it, one way, but here we're just doing the opposite. You can't even really tell the difference though when you look at it. The image is still nice and clear. Like I said, the outline on the die is nice and crisp. I just love this method. I think it's such a great technique and a really great way to maximize your stamps and get so much more use out of them, because you can have them doing, whichever direction you want them to go, you can have them go. So fun stuff. Now there you just saw me do the white highlight that I mentioned, and now I'm going to cut down my sentiment. Now I had stamped the I am here for you always, but what I really just want is here for you. So you can do that if you'd like. You can customize your sentiments any way you would like to make them work for you. Now I love the whole sentiment as it is, but in this case, what I'm gonna kind of want to do is get it to fit into the friend die. Now I also used the rectangle die from the emergency card essentials die set because I really love that beveled edge that I just showed. Now I mounted the rectangular card front onto a orange card base that's top fold, and then I am putting together here my composition. So I have my friend die cut out there. I have it in orange with the friend layered up in white, and then I have the here for you notice tucked in between pretty much the I and the D of friend. And then I also use that as kind of a grounding layer for my two little dinos so that they're not necessarily floating in space. They are kind of sitting on the sentiment there. So it basically reads, here for you, friend, and it's got the two little dinos looking at each other, holding hearts, because we love our friends, right? So sometimes you just want to let your friends know, hey, I love you and I'm here for you. And these two sets together work beautifully to do exactly that. And then I topped it off with the new little sparkle spots. I am obsessed with these. They're so shiny and glittery, and they work really, really well in shaker cards. They don't add bulk to your card, so they can mail easily because they are flat. But even though they're flat, they're so glittery. So that is our card project for today, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've had a good time. I hope you have maybe learned something new if you've never seen the mirror stamping technique before. And, I just really love doing it because I absolutely believe in maximizing our stash and using it every possible way we can. So, we took one stamp and turned it into two today. So if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up and make sure you are subscribed to Trinity Stamps. Turn on your notifications so that you don't miss a future video. There is so much great content on this channel. Plus you get to see all the fun stuff that comes out. So always a treat. So thank you again so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you so much. And I hope you grab some paper and craft something that really makes you smile. Take care. Bye.